Gwede Mantashe and Praveen Gordhan. In order for the electricity minister to make headway, he'll need to obtain some powers from both ministers. This is likely to form the proxy battle at the ANC's National Executive Committee meeting this weekend. CD Madia, Eyewitness News.
And President Cyril Ramaphosa says government is still deliberating over Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit to SA. An arrest warrant by the International Criminal Court has been issued against Putin. He's scheduled to visit the country during a BRICS summit later this year. Ndayeto Netonje reports.
Answering a question from the media during a state visit by Namibian President Hage Geingob earlier today, President Cyril Ramaphosa says South Africa has invited Russian President Vladimir Putin to attend the BRICS summit, but he would not be drawn on what actions government would take once he lands on South African soil. But Ramaphosa's Namibian counterpart believes South Africa is being targeted by Western nations on the issue.
So South Africa has to decide. It's a very difficult situation. Why only in South Africa? Other time we were here, it was Al-Bashir. What is it?
Al-Bashir.
Yeah, same thing. So they are targeting you, huh?
Yes.
Ndayeto Netonje, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Joburg dropping to an overnight low of 8 degrees, peaking at 24. Pretoria 10 and 27, Vereeniging 7 and 26. Lerato Huffela, Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News on 947. For more, click ewn.co.za.
#MSW. You may begin to feel anxious or excited.
Honest, deliberate, engaging, uncensored.
High dosage administration can cause adverse reactions.
And most importantly, independent in mind.
This is a normal response. Are you ready?
For our sports worldwide.
You have already understood that they did not even know why they were given the money. They did not ask for the money. They were only called to get the money. They signed for the money. They gave out the money. And people took the money. And that was the end of the money.
Changing and re-engineering sports on the continent and the world.
I mean, what a journey it's been for this man, and what a pleasure to have him here today. Kamoela Mokocha, good to see you back home. What do you think the perception was of you? And be honest.
That happened while I was at the national team with Coach Shakes.
Yeah.
Arrogant. I wasn't making a problem out of anything at that time with Coach Shakes because I wasn't even in the selection.
#MSW.
When a player leaves the club, forgotten in a way. A media story, this story went big in Norway, and then they reacted extremely quick by putting up like an online system, a Norwegian system where you can SMS in support.
For our sports worldwide.
You see, there are some things I don't even want to preempt because I know everybody would love to know what are the Munyagwazi planning, and I can't reveal that plan here. I'm not stupid to that extent.
Robert Marawa, live on 947. Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live. #MSW.
Looking back a year ago, I was dreaming about being where I was today. But back then it was just a dream about being back playing football. And then, of course, taking step by step and just being the best version of a football player you can be. And I was lucky that at the time manager wanted me to come here. I'm enjoying it. I did that a year ago. I'm doing that even more now. But of course, to go as far as possible be fun. And where we are now, I mean, already with a trophy, and then aims for 2 more, then that'll be good fun.
It's clear how the game went. It's a tie about 2 legs. I think we play over 60 minutes quite well, and then the last 30 minutes we dropped in level, and we became passive. It's not acceptable, we know that. And you see what happened when you are playing a game for only 60 minutes. You can't do it, and when you do it, you get punished. So we have to be aware of it. And I think the lesson we spoke about, we have taken the lesson on Sunday, and then you have seen a different Man United, but tomorrow we have to go again. But I said there's also in the development of our team, we have to emotion, you have to use it as a tool, but you have to control it as well. And you have to put it in the right moment. So the timing from that is important, and that is in big games especially. You have to know when you use it and when definitely not. And so in general, I make that point. And last week we did as well. So focus on the game. Focus about playing the best game you can as a team and as an individual.
They call it massive if it's Thursday night football, eh? That's Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag saying that his side needed to learn from their first leg collapse from 2 goals ahead when they meet Sevilla in the return leg of the Europa League quarter-final tonight. So a big night for United. If you go back to last week, they were cruising up 2-0 and there were own goals, Harry Maguire being one of them. So ten Hag literally saying that United also had to deal with the home crowd, warning their players to use their emotions as a tool. So can they do it tonight? That's the big question. Sevilla sounding very confident about pulling this one off against Manchester United. Maybe give us your thoughts as well about it. It is Mara Sports Worldwide, the Thursday edition, live at 947, Vuma FM, Rise FM, and on Sowetan Live, interactive as always, taking your WhatsApp voice notes. It's going to be a flash hour, trust me, because the issues that we're going to be discussing today here, you've been asking for this man to come into studio for a long time to account for his association that he represents, which is the South African Football Association. 060-708-0484, 060-708-0484. That's the WhatsApp voice note number to use for any questions or comments. We'll tell you about what happened on this day in history. In fact, it's related to an individual who was supposed to be in South Africa courtesy of SAFA back in March. We haven't seen him. So that's the only clue I can give you about him. And I'm sure not even the CEO knows who I'm talking about. We'll leave that as a big puzzle. But you know what? Every now and again, it's quite key as well to check in with the governing body of football in our country. And we got to. I mean, there's just so much on their plate. It's only fair that you, the die-hard football fans, get to ask the questions, pose the comments, and also be brought up to speed with all that's happening, as well as we got a couple of questions hopefully to be answered tonight. So much happening within SAFA, the South African Football Association, the mother body of football in this country, on and off the offices. Let's get straight into it here. The SAFA CEO, Advocate Tebogo Motlanthe, is with us. Sir, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Rob, and the listeners of 94.7 and all other platforms.
Thank you so much indeed. 947 with us, as you says, across KZN. We're there in Mpumalanga and internationally on Sowetan Live. It's good to have you because you've been very busy. You've been a very busy man. I can account for the fact that while you've been away, so many questions have been asked to us that we have no answers to. But to ask a very gentle question to get us into the mix, what's your feeling about the state of the game right now under the auspices of SAFA?
Look, Rob, I think that the question is a very fair one, and one will say the status of football is not where one would expect it to be. There are challenges in the sport itself, and of course there is a bit of progress which has been made over the years. This should be my second year on this seat, so I've seen a lot of progress, but a lot can still be done.
I love it when you say it's not where you would want it to be or where we would want it to be as the football fans. Where do you think you are falling short?
Rob, I think first schools football. Since we took over school football, I'm the first one to admit that we did not do much of the work. And that, of course, calls for this strategic workshop which is taking place this week. And this endeavor need to say, what do we do? Yeah. Our regions. You still have problems within our regions. Others are functional. Others, of course, you still have complaints that, look, this region is not working. And, of course, we have spoken well about women's football. And one of my ambitions is that after my term, we should see women football professionalized. Yeah. And I think it's doable. It just needs us to put more effort. We have seen Bafana qualifying for African Cup of Nations. But one should say it was also so close. I mean, it was nerves all the way up until we came back with that victory from Liberia. It was not an easy one, which tells you there is still much to be done. Banyana qualifying for the World Cup. We are now supporting and ensuring that they come back having passed the group stages. Under 17s are leaving on Saturday for the African Cup of Nations. So it's not all gloom. That's why I said it's not where we all want it to be. but there is a progress being made.
All right, let's talk about the women first, because I just see this year as being a women's year. So much is happening around women's sport across different sporting codes, World Cups and cricket, World Cup, as you said, in football. So it's a key place to start. And you talk about the professionalization of the women's game, where we don't find ourselves professionalized, and yet it's the women who are qualifying for the World Cup, and yet the men's game, which is professionalized, we can't qualify for World Cups, which is a bit of an irony. What is delaying the professionalization of the game as far as women are concerned?
The commercial backing, Rob.
Yeah.
First we need to sort the broadcasting issue, because the issue of national public broadcaster is not working. So we need to sell the Women's Football League as an item. Because you look at the countries throughout, they get their money through broadcasting. So we need to now start marketing this league of women and ensure that it turns professional. The commercial backing is key to that. We need to go and knock at the doors. Hollywood Bet has came on board, but is it enough? No, it's not. Because when you talk professionalization, you talk about players being paid like the male counterparts do. So I think that the first way is to knock at the doors. But we must also thank the government, because when it comes to women football, the government has been giving a once-off grant which assists in the running of the league. But it's not enough. We need to go out there.
How much is this grant?
Well, it differs. Sometimes it's a 7 million rand, sometimes it's a 5 million rand. So yeah,
per annum.
Per annum, and not only for the league. They just say it's for women football. So you need to also have other activities of women football. But I think the focus which we need to put is just solely on the league, because we need to turn it professional. We can't be crying forever. And of course, we, after the call of a parity payment, we then resolved as South African Football Association to say we don't need to be like other countries taken to court. We are now paying women and men same amounts, allowances and bonuses.
This is for representing the country?
Yes.
So how much is that?
Rob, for a win, it depends, because it's whether it's a friendly or a qualifier, but it varies. But what I can confirm is that they do get equal to what men. That cry of saying Bafana gets more than Banyana, we have killed it.
Okay, let's talk about it as a qualifier. It's a qualifier. Banyana players get X and Bafana players get X. What is that X?
At a qualifier, Bafana, Banyana, they get 60,000 for a win. And of course, there were still discussions around draws and this, but qualifiers, as I said, they are being treated differently to friendlies.
But a 60,000 rand for a qualifier for a win is a standard across both male and female.
Yes, Rob.
Okay, I think that's fair enough. But do you think it is equitable when you look at it as a 2023 amount? Because I remember back in those days, players were getting 50,000 rand for a qualifier win. And that was many years ago. Do you think that we are serving them right financially? I know the whole story about you representing your country should come first, which I understand. But they also, as you rightfully said earlier, they're not professional. So they need to cover their costs. They need to look after families, etc., etc. Do you think you could do better than 60,000 for a qualifier win?
Of course, Rob. That's what we are moving for, to say commercial partners come on board. There are interesting news coming away, because we are engaged with a sponsor for Bafana. Their win there and their qualification for the African Cup of Nations has done wonders. So we should announce a sponsor soon. But
how soon?
It's never enough, Rob. We need to still go and knock at the doors. Give me 2-3 weeks. I should be announcing 2 sponsors. One for the regional leagues, which did not have a sponsor for a long time,
right? And
one for Bafana. We are just towards conclusion of those discussions. In fact, the one for regional leagues is done. It's just we're just waiting for the announcement, which we'll do soon.
Is that what it was, the Castle League and
yes,
so on?
The one which was the Castle League, which was known as the Castle League.
So the new sponsor that's coming in, without trying to preempt anything, is it also going to be alcohol drinks related?
No, it's not going to be alcohol drinks. It's something new.
Completely?
Yes.
All right, like telephone company or telecoms?
Rob, you'll have to wait to see, but it's not an alcohol company.
All right, so Bafana, which I can't say is the bigger one because we try and treat all national teams the same, but we all look at Bafana, like we look at the Springboks, we look at the Proteas, everyone looks at the top tier of the national team. Would it be a long-term sponsor, or are they just capitalizing on the fact that they've qualified for Africa Cup of Nations?
Rob, the principle which one has took when it goes to negotiations is that we can't treat sponsorships like donations. Sponsor must be a sponsor, and it must be a long-term. After Banyana qualified for the World Cup, there are companies which came, others were saying a year, others were saying... We turn them down because if you go to sponsors begging, it tends to become a donation.
Right.
So we are strict in that it must be a long term. So the Bafana one will be a long term.
Long term would be 3 years plus or 3 years below?
3 years plus.
3 years plus, okay. I mean, that's a long term commitment. One thing you said, which I have to backtrack, and which was a big statement from your side. You said the thing with SABC is not working when it came to Hollywoodbets Super League as far as the women's game is concerned. Why is it not working? Because I would assume that this is great content for a public broadcaster in gaps where, there'll be a lot of repetition, showing us things that have happened in the past or things that are canned. But live football of any kind is supposed to be a winner on TV.
Rob, I will not want it to look like I'm bashing the partner in public. But,
no, but you're also being honest as well.
Realistically speaking, in terms of revenue, I believe that the league has potential to grow. For instance, when you signed with the SABC, there was a promise of a magazine show, which you need to profile players.
Yeah.
Are the players being profiled? Most people don't know Banyana players. That magazine show has never been forthcoming.
Isn't that a breach of contract?
Well, of course, Rob, they kept on saying we are working on it. But one is happy that that contract is coming to an end. And when we negotiate, we'll negotiate better.
Yeah.
Knowing that we have an obligation to professionalize women football. Because sitting and talking about it being professional, it will not assist up until we actually have women making a living out of football. Because,
my estimation, I could be wrong here. Only one game on SABC per weekend, and one that is on SABC Sport, which is Hollywoodbets Super League, but it's also not consistent. So I think that is where the fans and the consumer of the product feel that they're being shortchanged as far as watching these games are concerned. They only see them when they gather together as Banyana, but still, like you said, they don't know the names, they don't know who they are, they don't even know who they represent. But then, of course, before you answer that, we're going to come back from the break. We'll pick up on that. I see a number of WhatsApp voice notes are coming through. I do urge you to do it nice and early because, trust me, this hour is going to fly by given all of the deliberations that we do have on the show, all the questions that are pending, and hopefully the answers to them. He is here to advocate and also to represent the association that he is the CEO of. Advocate Motlanthe is here. After the break.
Marawa Sports Worldwide Live.
In 3, 2, 1.
On 947, Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live. #MSW.
I can't wait to dip my feet in the ocean.
And I can't wait to wear my new bikini.
Oh, I just need to take a break from the boss.
Mina, I'll just be sipping on milkshakes all weekend long.
Wherever you're heading, you'll always find a Wimpy at Engine to enjoy your favorite meals. So come on in and you could also win a brand new car just by spending 200 Rand. It's the perfect way to start any road trip. Engine Wimpy. Love the journey. T's and C's apply.
Benny's been waiting for his next passenger, but while there's a break in play, it's time to check on his multi-bet, needing just one more result for an incredible win.
Utata! How does Benny even handle the pressure?
It's been a smooth ride so far, but what's this?
Goal! Is this the end of his multi-bet?
The final whistle's blown, but there's still gas left in the tank. With money back boost, he'll at least get all the cash he put down back. Another great offer from Betway.
Wati moto, wati farara. Apela bantu.
T's and C's apply. Licensed and regulated by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. For gambling counseling, call SARGF on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp 076 675 0710.
Parents who are in trouble, we are going to be bankrupt.
Previously on Anele and the Club
on 947.
Prime. It's a new energy drink that's out.
I googled Prime energy drink and I saw that it's 800 Rand.
There are a lot of varying prices. Let's speak to the owner of Tesco Sweets in Chartwell so she can explain to us what is this phenomenon.
These guys, these YouTubers, Logan Paul and KSI, they from the US and the UK, they've partnered with a company called Prime Hydration, and they've decided to do 3 forms of drinks. There's a sports drink, then you get a mixer, which is a powder, and then you get the energy drink. There's a huge demand for it. But the importers have had to pay import and customs tax for it. You know that the kids at school, they are giving a sip to the other kids and they're selling it 100 Rand.
Anele and the Club. Weekdays, 6 to 9 a.m.
This is 947.
The Galaxy S23 Ultra's 200 megapixel camera brings you wow-worthy resolution. So much resolution, in fact, that you'll be able to zoom, crop scale, and print your images without losing any detail. Now that's epic. Buy any Galaxy S23 now and add the Galaxy Watch 5 from only 49 Rand per month. And get free Galaxy Buds 2 Pro, valued at 3,999. Galaxy S23 series. Share the epic. T's and C's apply.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
All right, so here's a story, by far one of the most heartwarming stories that you'll come across in a very long time. It's the fans putting together this beautiful gesture. Football supporters in Norway have raised close to 2 million Rand after hearing that former Bafana goalkeeper Emil Baron, who played for Lillestrøm SK, was going through a bit of a rough patch and was kind of relying on handouts to feed his family. General of the Football Association of Norway, Kjetil Siem, joining me.
It's actually a fantastic story that these fans have put together to take care of one of the heroes. Some of my friends in South Africa had gone to see Emil and came with a fresh report. They literally started crying in that room because they felt so sorry of the hero. So this is humanity on its best.
#MSW. #MSW.
Good evening, Bro. Opa in Ivory. I would like to ask the CEO, why is it our youth structures, under 23, under 17, and under 20s, we only hear about them when there is a competition? If you check, comparing to Banyana, they always play. That is where they gel, and then they do well in the senior team. The under 20s, under 17, why can't we in the national team always, when there's a FIFA break, the national team go out and play against a top quality side like Egypt, Algeria, Senegal, in the continent? Competition like Europe, when we see Europeans always in the FIFA break, they are there, they're competing. But us, yes, we only hear about when they're going to the Olympics, and that is why we fail.
That is why we fail. Is it the reason why we fail? Advocate Tebogo Motlanthe, SAFA CEO, is here to answer those and other related questions. We're going to take that one quickly.
I agree with Opa.
Yeah.
We have done disservice to our junior national teams in that, one, we are controlled by the calendar, but calendar sometimes they do not play.
Mm-hmm.
But the technical director, Mr. Walter Steenbok, will be presenting a developmental plan in this weekend, where it will include employing personnel, because we are now moving to say let's focus be on technical area. There is no way an association like SAFA will move with coaches which are coming on assignment base when it comes to junior national teams. We have agreed, and Walter will be presenting to the membership of SAFA over this weekend to say we need to shift. We have advertised already for the women's team manager, because women's general manager, because we did not have one person responsible for all the women national teams. We are doing that. And after this, there will be a clear shift where focus moves to technical. Whether we will be appointing one or two, but we need to have, even if it means we go back to what we used to do in the past, where you have a head of youth so that he can look at the under 17, under 18. I need to compliment him because he got the scouting moving, and we are looking forward to start identifying the players, but not only identifying them, getting them active. We have signed a lot of cooperation agreement with many countries. So we just need to start ensuring that those cooperation agreement comes into effect and players starts playing. We have seen just with UEFA, the under 16s, it was for the first time you have an under 16. It went to Poland. But how did we get them? We got them after we got an invitation. Is it an ideal situation? No. So one expects that developmental plan will be an answer to all our challenges in the junior national teams. For just as one has been moving with the world, we met with Arsene Wenger and he says, look, South Africa, you have capacity, but the fact that we'll say a 25-year-old is still a youngster is a problem.
Yeah.
And he says, stop doing under 17, go to under 11. And it's a challenge he has put to us to say, kids need to start playing at the young age. So I think this Indaba will then come with a document which speaks to that. And not just a document, we need to get implementation.
Are you expecting the PSL to be part of that?
Rob, they were invited. As I came here, I was told that there was a statement which was issued by the league.
They don't want to come.
That they are not coming.
Yeah.
So I unfortunately, that one is a bit above my pay grade.
But what does the statement say to you as the CEO? Because we got wind of the statement literally a few seconds ago as well. Because they had their meeting today, and they were discussing the upcoming celebration of Freedom Day. So they said that the executive committee discussed the agenda circulated by SAFA for a workshop in Indaba of the association's regional members set for the 21st and 22nd of April 2023, which is to be followed by an ordinary SAFA Congress on Sunday the 23rd. It says the executive committee unanimously resolved that the PSL would not attend the workshop in Indaba or the ordinary SAFA Congress. The executive committee delegation will seek an urgent audience with the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, the President of CAF and the stakeholders that support professional football, and then call an extraordinary meeting of the PSL Board of Governors to report on the matter. It literally just says, in simple Zulu, asinboni, we're going to do things this way. You guys can go ahead with your Indaba, but we're not going to be a part of it. How do you respond to that?
Look, Rob, it's a difficult thing for me to respond because one, I will say, operationally we do work well with the league. I do have open line with the CEO of the league. So it is at that level because the league, remember that they are members of SAFA. They normally attend congresses as members. So I think this is the issue for the policymakers. When we meet, SAFA needs to pronounce itself on this statement. And I think that it happens when we get to a meeting where all members will be there. And I think after this 2-3 days processes, SAFA needs to then pronounce itself on it through the policymakers.
But what do you think they would need an urgent audience with the Minister of Sport, an urgent audience with the CAF president, but decide not to sit with the mother body? That for me seems very strange.
Very, very strange, Rob. I that's why I said I was just told literally when I was walking here. I did not even see the statement. But as you read it, it sounds strange because if there are issues, normally the league will raise the issues as members and the issues will be debated. That's why I say maybe SAFA needs to pronounce itself after this Indaba.
Who's running football at times? Is it the PSL or is it SAFA?
It's SAFA.
But does it always seem that way? Because sometimes it looks like the commercial wing wants to dictate what the mother body should be doing, whereas it's supposed to be the other way around.
Rob, that's why I say this Indaba needs to deal with that, the question of relationship, because everywhere you go, you are told about this fractured relationship. And like I say, with me operationally, I've not met many problems. We do talk, we do discuss issues. Maybe at policy level, where you have your joint liaison committee meeting and all these other committees, that's where this needs to be looked at and decisions be made. Remember, with us, we are implementers, Rob.
Yeah. But if you're implementing without a commercial wing, which is important for football really to work and to thrive in this country, doesn't it set you back somewhat?
It says to you, you need to reposition yourself in a way that will appeal to the commercial market.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer that commercial partners will go to the league because they are every week on TV. National teams are not, when they come, you go to Liberia, you play Liberia, and your national broadcaster has gone out to people to say this is a sport of national interest. And you are not on SABC 1, 2, or 3. That in itself makes you to lose commercial ground because people want to be seen. So once you are referred to an OTT, which people don't know about, then you have a problem. So there are just these issues, which one thinks. I think one of my difficult tasks is to get into this broadcasting negotiations because I think that's where the potential of the association is locked. When did you see a magazine program talking about the good work done by the regions? You'll never see that. So I think we need to start as SAFA, open these opportunities through our broadcasting.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about that. There's a lot of urgency. I'm going to get back to some of what the statement says because also for me it boggles the mind what has been said. But I'll come back to that in a second. When you talk about the regions, it throws me back to a couple of questions that are being thrown here on the voice notes.
Tebogo Motlanthe, between you and the ESCOM CEO, I don't know who's got the most difficult job, but I need to ask, are we ever going to have a season where ABC Motsepe leagues are concluded without DC cases? Because at the moment, it's a bit unclear who's going to the playoffs in Free State, in Mpumalanga and Limpopo because of pending cases. Do you think the funding model of that league is also a contributing factor that clubs will do anything to get out of that league? And what is it that SAFA is doing about this? Because we hear that the bulk of the funds that have been collected for this financial year end will go towards revamping Van Valley. Why can't we apportion those funds to critical projects like ABC Motsepe? Because to show that we are in football for development and not in football for procurement projects as it appears to be. Thank you so much. It's Tebogo here.
Well, Tebogo, thank you so much indeed. Another Tebogo's here in studio to take that through. And congratulations, Tebogo, on your graduation. I do believe that you're either on your way there or from there. Long may education continue, sir. You contribute a hell of a lot to this show. Mr. CEO.
Rob, I think this is also one thing. You know, when I was in the legal department, I had dealt with this. We had moved from a season where champions were decided in the boardroom. It has reared its head again, and of course, one cannot shift the blame. The buck stops with me. It tells me that we need to go down and start working because most of the issues are just getting chairpersons which are not well trained to exercise their duties. So one needs to start capacitating the provinces because these leagues now are run by the provinces. And I agree with Tebogo here because you don't want a situation where in the Eastern Cape, the league has concluded. They now know the winner. In other provinces, you still have these pending DC cases, which others, of course, are frivolous. It's just number two, not happy that number one is going through. And you listen to things which can just be dismissed.
Yeah.
And of course, we continue to engage commercial partners because we think third division needs to get more funding. We are unfortunately not having the lucks of investing there because, you know, the money he's talking about Van Valley, it's a FIFA forward money which comes with conditions from FIFA, which is looking at infrastructure. But of course, we have engaged the Motsepe Foundation to say, look, can't we up the price? And they are willing to talk. We just need to go sit down and talk with them and say this is the cry, and also look at getting secondary sponsors.
I think you need them. I was about to say, at times, the over-reliance on Motsepe Foundation is too much all round. What if Motsepe Foundation decides one day that they've had enough? They want to put their money in netball or table tennis. Then what happens to football?
And it happened before. Remember that at some there are seasons where this league was just called SAFA Third Division.
Yeah.
We don't need to find ourselves in those kind of conditions. So that's why one of my basic duties is to go out. Like Tebogo said, it's a difficult job. Because when you knock and speak about ABC Motsepe, they said, no, but Bafana is not performing.
Yeah, it's not performing. It's too controversial.
So I think what we need to do is just to go out there, knock at the doors, but also find the self-sustainable. I believe that if you commercialize the membership of football, it can be self-sustainable.
Because what worries me about the PSL statement is that when they talk about formulating a Board of Governors meeting, I mean, they haven't had one, if my memory serves me well, since the October 2020. I know that they had a briefing in November of 2021, but it wasn't anything that was formal and structured. But if they're going to be calling for an urgent one now against what you're going to have as an indaba, then it says a lot. You know, for me, it says a lot. But that is just a comment in passing. You can view us live on YouTube if you want to be part and parcel of the conversation, and also part and parcel of the questions that are structured through. Do send us through that. Also got a question that filtered through here on social media. And it sounds important. And I say it sounds important because when I think about it, it says that, you know, like if women's football turns professional, won't that be under the Premier Soccer League, since the PSL is the entity running professional football?
No, Rob, it's not going to be like that.
Okay.
Remember that the National Soccer League, not even PSL, the National Soccer League is a special member of SAFA. It has a special license to run professional male football. This league is a brainchild of SAFA, and its growth is in the hands of SAFA. And SAFA has invested a lot in it, and it will want to see it grow. You can't give birth to a child when the child is grown. You hand him over somewhere.
But what if they take advantage of the fact that you've also given them a long rope to almost hang themselves? Because you've said that up until 2030, they would then have every team in the PSL has to have a women's team. So right now we only got 3. It's Royal AM, it's TS Galaxy, it's Mamelodi Sundowns, unless there's more now. But you're giving them up until 2030. So what if they decide that, listen, as an entity, as something that CAF has said you need to have, because it's a CAF licensing scenario that they fall under, then they can form their own. I won't call it a breakaway, but if they decide, okay, we can do this on our own, then what happens?
But Rob, that will still need the blessings of SAFA, because you cannot just wake up as a member and do as you wishes. They will need the blessings of SAFA, and if it happens while we're still with SAFA, will then stand and protect that position that the league is the brainchild of SAFA and it needs to stay there. And there are many reasons. When this league started, the people from your KwaZulu-Natal, Mary Janes, they strived to be where they are today. And to come and dilute their investment, it will not only be unfair to SAFA, but also to these men and women who have invested in this game for so long.
All right, so there's a great deal to chat about as we take our final leap after the break with the CEO of the South African Football Association. How close are we to VAR? We saw VAR last night. You know, there was a red card in that Bayern Munich game. And referee said, no, you know what? There's no red card. Are we about to red card ourselves?
Marawa Sports Worldwide Live.
In 3, 2, 1.
On 947, Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live.
#MSW. You thought you knew what queen material is until a new breed takes to the throne. Queen Charlotte is here, and she'll never stand alone. Pride to the bone, she's an African Nubian. Strength is her own, grace in her soul in England rose. Now that's what I call influence, when you are whom everybody chooses. Now cheer for the queen, leader of our ancestors' wildest dreams.
Queen Charlotte, only on Netflix, 4th of May.
Before you sell your car, be really sure. Before they make you not, be really sure. Before you take a blow because you had to sell too low. Before you sell your car, be really sure. Make sure you get the best deal when selling your car. Go to willy.co.za, SA's most trusted place to get a second offer.
Let a little sigh escape you as you enjoy John Dory's Soft Life Prawn Special. 12 juicy prawns served with chips and rice for a special price of 129 Rand. Get lost in our John Dory's basting, which we brush generously on our delicious prawns. Or try them with our soft lemon butter. Yes, lemon butter. Things have changed. Now all of us can afford to eat soft. John Dory's. Now that's special.
She makes the ride home.
The ride of your life.
Just gonna drive you home. 947 Drive.
With Tando.
Who won South African Idols back in 2012?
2012, Anka.
No.
Heinz Winkler.
No.
Stacey James.
No. Definitely no.
He can sing though.
Going back to the corner where I first saw you.
No, he was on it. He was amazing.
He didn't even make like top 30.
It's further than I went.
Did you enter Idols?
I didn't even get through the line. They wouldn't allow me into the main room.
What's the answer? We have to go.
Kayam Tetwa.
Kayam Tetwa.
947 Drive with Tundo.
Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
This is 947. We bring you great hits and exciting entertainment.
And our presenters enjoy doing it.
But we also have to follow the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct.
In order to give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news.
If for some reason you feel that we're not following this code,
we want to know about it.
So please contact us on comments@947.co.za.
If you're still not satisfied, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission.
Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
I'm coming home. I'm coming home.
I mean, what a journey it's been for this man, and what a pleasure to have him here today. Kamoela Mokocha, good to see you back home. What do you think the perception was of you? And be honest.
That happened while I was at the national team with Coach Shakes.
Yeah.
Arrogant. I wasn't making a problem out of anything at that time with Coach Shakes because I wasn't even in the selection. But he just spoke badly about me, in the media.
What hurt you about what Shakes said?
I think in general it was the criticism.
Yeah.
You understand? About a player that he didn't have in the squad, shaming my body. That's his opinion. There should be respect, I think, when it comes to players and coaches.
All I'm asking is for a little respect when you come home. Hey!
#MSW. #MSW.
Hi, Robert. Avi Muloi from Naturena. Please ask the CEO because they normally, complain about, the challenges they are having regarding their finances. Why are they not utilizing their facilities which they bought in south of Johannesburg to save the cost, like, housing the national teams there whenever they have the games and have their training facilities there so that they can, save a lot from, using the other, facilities where they pay and using the hotels to house the national teams. Thank you very much.
Hi, Rob. This is Anu from Rodipod. Rob, I would just like to say a big up to the CEO and SAFA for really, really looking after Banyana, really, Rob. Because if you look at 5 years ago where Banyana was and where we are today with Banyana, it's chalk and cheese, Rob. And you can see that SAFA has tried to bring good teams to play against Banyana. I mean, we had Brazil, and then we had Australia in UK, and we had Serbia now. So I think they are trying hard, and we should really, really embrace this, and we should really be grateful that SAFA, they are really giving Banyana Banyana, good preparation. And secondly, Rob, this was amazing news that never made the media, that SAFA started a females GDL for under 15s. These are the news that we never saw on newspapers or in the media. This is amazing work by SAFA, and this is going to bode well for the development of women football in this country, Rob. And last but not least, I have a question for him. We have Engine, a tournament that has been held for many years in this country, and we believe now there's a standoff between Engine and SAFA. And the question is, will the tournament be held this year, Rob? Thank you very much, Andrew from Rodiport.
Mr. Marao, good evening. Good evening to the shareholders and to Advocate Motlanthe in studio. My question to the advocate, as the CEO of SAFA, what is their plan with regards to our national youth teams? Are we going to see a situation where if there is a major tournament that has to be played by our junior teams, then a team is assembled within few weeks to participate in the tournament? Thank you. Polan Machol.
Marawa Sports Worldwide. This is 947. Music Live. #MSW.
All right, plenty of questions. Can we get the answers? It is 947. It is Marawa Sports Worldwide, live on Vuma FM, Rise FM, and on Sowetan Live. Sure.
Rob, let me start.
Over to you, CEO. I don't even know where to start. You take it.
Let me start with the question about the facility we own.
Yeah, Fun Valley.
The resort part is still open. It's generating income.
Mm-hmm.
Our junior national team stays there. We are working on facilities like I said to you, the FIFA Forward program will be invested there. We currently have 1 artificial turf and 2 natural grass, but we need grandstands. We need to upgrade the rooms to be to the level where players will be comfortable when they are there. So that's work in process. It should be done soon. Given the increase on what FIFA Forward is now.
That in terms of they boosted the income.
They've increased the income.
So how much did you get in? Don't worry, these things are the open. You know that you have to declare it anyway, so you might as well declare it here on the show.
Look, what they give is $2 million, but it's based on project. You go and say this is what I've done, and FIFA gives that. We have now TDS, which is looking at development, answering the last one to say the TD will present a paper, which I think the members will agree to, that we need permanent competitions. We are reviving under 17s because we used to have interprovincial under 17s, under 19 for both women and men. They just vanished because of funding. So part of the funding from FIFA will go to reviving those. And yes, of course, we are giving attention to the youth football, as I said.
Yeah. All right, so that was A.B. Malloy's one. And then Andrew Rudderport, I think he praised you, which is great. So we've got to put the tough questions, but at the same time balance it with... So he was praising the kind of attention you've given to Banyana, giving them the games, etc., etc. So that's a straightforward one. Under 15s, the GDL for women. Also another plus. It says you won't see that in the newspapers. Andrew, you brought it onto the radio, which is great. Engine standoff. I mean, is there a standoff there? Because we've seen Engine for the longest time being associated with yourselves. Is there a problem right now?
Rob, there have been discussions with Engine to say how do we work under one umbrella, because they choose local football associations to work with. And the challenges are major, and unfortunately they also end up spilling into the association itself. I'm sitting with a case of about 3 years ago where a player passed on in the field of play, and the parent says nothing was done to us, but Engine says we have done something, but now they're looking at the motherboard. We're saying let us just have a situation where we coordinate well with them. Of course, everyone will want to see the backing, but that backing should not be on the dictatorship of the sponsors. We need to work together with sponsors. So our national competitions committee met with Engine, and the talks are ongoing. I am positive that we will see it playing. I know they met during the course of the week.
I mean, is there a deadline? Is there a timeline you've set for this? In terms of the so-called standoff coming to an end, or an agreement coming through?
I'm going to get a report tomorrow.
Okay, tomorrow.
We will want to see people playing. We don't want to close doors on investors, but it must be done in the right way.
All right, talk about closing doors on investment and investors. I think one of the longest standing investments that you've had, and we've seen some great players coming through from the Transnet School of Excellence. My understanding is that there's a year left, or close to a year or less now that we're in April. Has there been an agreement? Because they seem quite destined to head out the door. You saying no, but contractually you still have to carry on. So if you have an unhappy sponsor, for whatever reason they're unhappy, but that's what we have come to know, what is the situation? Because that means to SAFA that in that 1 year you would be short of 20 million rand.
Rob, indeed, through one of the decisions which Transnet has taken, and we did not agree with them because they just wanted to up and leave. Our question was not to say you can't exit, but we're saying exit in a right way. Give us chance to get sponsors. And I can say to you, there are people who have shown interest to say we must protect the legacy of that school. And one need to single out the Premier of Gauteng, who came in and said, look, we as Gauteng will also play our part, but there are also commercial wings which have shown interest, and we are pursuing that. We think that a year will be enough for us to sustain that school.
So you can safely say that Transnet, either way, will be out.
Transnet has put their intentions very clear that they are out.
But after so many years, why do they want to leave?
Well, they are raising the question of revenues from their side and the board changing direction.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a sad thing to have a partner of a long-standing living. But one believes that we also need to up our game. We need to ensure that we sustain that school.
Yeah, but it's always sad when you have an SOE sponsoring you. So it's almost like saying SAA is sponsoring you. So if you can't have SAA in the air, you can't have it on the ground either, because then it makes no sense.
No, and we are direct victims of SAA also. Remember, they used to sponsor the national teams, and when their problems came in, it of course affected us. But we are saying, like in many countries, you sometimes wish you were in Morocco, where the king invests heavily in football. But unfortunately, where we are, the only call we can make is for the government to come on board and take sports serious.
We've got a couple of kings in South Africa, though.
Will they invest because they depend on the government?
Well, the richest are in Pukeng. They're in the northwest, the Platinum City. I mean, they're known as having a lot. They might have been sponsoring a football club back then, and in Platinum Stars, but it doesn't stop them from.
Look, we will engage them.
Yeah,
we will engage.
They've got money, Mr. Motlanthe. I can tell you that safely, that they have money. But
they will say to you, I can't invest in Gauteng, I'd rather invest here in Northwest. I must start an academy in Northwest. Those.
But you're a national association. If they can see the bigger picture, then surely that will make sense than regional.
I fully agree that we need to get to different sources and talk to them about investing. But it looks promising.
Okay.
So soon we will have a partner who will come to replace the SOE.
All right. Please let it not be another SOE at the rate we're going. It's not looking good. Muzik says that 60,000 rand for the qualifiers. How many qualifiers are there in a year? There's 3. That would mean that they earn on average 180,000 rand. Is the SAFA CEO honestly thinking that is sufficient for those that are mothers, surrogate mothers, heads of single parent households, etc., etc.? And has SAFA spent all of the 2010 World Cup funds that the custodian of football in South Africa received prior and post the tournaments, i.e. 2009 Confed Cup and also the 2010 FIFA World Cup? Maybe let's deal with the second one. Those FIFA legacy funds, are they gone according to Muzi?
They are gone. That's why it has closed doors, the legacy. Remember that you had FIFA as a major shareholder. The investment were made in different courses. There were fields which were made. There were people who were taken to school, including women national team players who are graduates today because through that legacy funding, and football administrators who benefited. And there were many courses which were done, because you remember the first window was open even to courses which are of humanitarian nature. So the legacy has closed. It has played its part. And let's get to the second one. The second one, I think what Muzi is asking, well, when he says it's 60,000 and you just want to limit it to the qualifiers, it's unfair because there are friendlies which are being played. And despite that, there are players who are playing, in fact, 24 or more. They are playing overseas. They are making money, and other clubs are paying their stipends. We are saying it's not enough. We have moved from a point where there were no parity payment. We are now pushing for parity payment, and we will push that we get more backers so that we can, the contribution of Sasol alone.
Yeah.
It has been a very great contribution.
But are they going to stay on, though? Sasol's been forever, which has been great, though.
Sasol has been there, and they still have 2 more years to go. And we always sit with them and talk this. Remember, they are not only sponsoring the national team, they are sponsoring the Sasol League throughout the 9 provinces.
Okay. So, I was going to challenge you on Vision 2030, but Vision 2030 needs an entire year to grapple on. I'm going to park that one side. But VAR is something that we've spoken about, is something that your new head has come through post the Qatar World Cup in Victor Gomes. So from an official within the office of SAFA, how close are we to having VAR, or is it a pipe dream?
It's not a pipe dream. We are very close, but being realistic, it will not be beginning of the next coming season. Because we still need to train officials for VAR. Currently, we only have 2, if not 3, trained VAR officials. And the chairperson of referees, I should also thank the policymakers that finally they decided to put a former referee as the chairperson of the committee. And he has already hit the ground running. He will be giving me a full detailed report because he has gone to CAF, he has met with different people who have different ideas. What he said to me, he said, no, let us not even say we rush it by going VAR light. We must go straight VAR if we want VAR. And he's confident that it will be done soon. It's not just a dream which will die.
A season, 2 seasons from now, load shedding involved, I'm sure. I don't know if you have generators to back up if things go wrong. I don't know what the contingency plan is.
Look, I think after getting his report, I'll be on the right path to say to you. We will then say, look, realistically, after meeting with the chairperson, after he had presented to all of us, we think it's a season or 2, but he is working hard on it. It's one of the things he wants to realize.
Okay, it's a difficult question. Maybe you can answer it in a yes or no, because of time. Sibusiso Mchunu on Twitter says, can you please ask Mr. Motlanthe if the issue of having 2 leaders in the KZN region was ever sorted?
Yes, it was sorted.
So there's one...
the president of SAFA eThekwini is Mr. Mazum Kiza. After we had put an administrator, we must thank the honorary president, Dr. Oliphant, who went there and stabilized that region.
It was strange, though. It was very strange. Very, very strange. So you can see, I mean... There was a situation between Hugo Broos and the PSL. Please, do come back. The issues around SAFA are many. As I said, Vision 2030 will take up a big chunk of the time because there's also a feeling that you've lowered your standards from what you had initially with Vision 2022. And maybe you can back up the claims in another conversation. So hopefully you can promise us to be back soon.
Look, Rob, when you want me, the traveling has stopped. I've concluded my diploma in football law.
Congratulations.
So now I'm back here. I'm focused there. So we are ready to engage. Like I said, and I said to you, we owe each other a discussion with the nation about Vision 2022.
Yeah.
Because you don't make a policy and make the one on top before you say, this is what we have achieved, this is what we have failed.
That's what I wanted to talk about. But let's start it in the next conversation. Advocate Motlanthe, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Rob.
Truly appreciate it.
Thanks to you.
Marawa Sports Worldwide Live.
In 3, 2, 1.
On 947, Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live. #MSW.